Hello, and welcome to this webinar today, which is brought to you by the Orientation to Ontario program in affiliation with the Refugee Assistance Program. The topic today is about family matters. But before I begin the topic itself, I just wanted to let you know that the Orientation to Ontario program, otherwise known as O2O, provides information and support to refugees who are settling in Ontario. And it does this by offering workshops and webinars, and it has a whole host of resources, both print and online. O2O is managed by Costi Immigrant Services, and it is funded by the Government of Ontario. So let's begin our topic, Family Matters, Part 1. We've divided this topic into two separate parts, two separate webinars. So in this webinar today, we are going to talk about the different aspects of family relations in Canada and what newcomer families may experience as they settle into a new country and into a new society. Part 1, as you can see highlighted in green here for you, is where we will talk about how settlement might affect your family, and we'll also talk about the diverse types of families that are in Canada. Part 2, which you see below, we're going to talk about the concept of culture shock. And what that means is that when you move to a new country or to a new place, you may experience a whole range of emotions, both positive and negative. And so we're going to talk about some of those. And then finally, we'll talk about some of the issues that are faced specifically by refugees. When you come to a new country, and especially now that you are in Canada, you know that there are traditional roles that you are used to from your home countries that may be different now that you are here. Settlement often leads to changing roles within a family. For example, in many cultures, the husbands are the head of the family. They're responsible for making the decisions and earning the money to support the family itself. And the wives, traditionally, they care for the children and they manage the home and they manage the household. The challenges of settling in Canada, this may force the roles to change. So perhaps the husbands and wives will now take on different responsibilities, new responsibilities, and they will have to share others. And this can be confusing to the family makeup, and it can be also quite stressful. And in that, of course, the children and seniors, if you are living in an extended family, their roles will also change somewhat. So let's have a look at what we're talking about here. In Canada, women and men often share the responsibilities of earning money and of taking care of the home and children. Most families in Canada are two-income families, which means that both parents go to work. Many families choose to do this, but in some cases, of course, some parents have to do this because they need both incomes in order to support the family. And when both parents are working outside of the home, they also have to work together to keep things going in the home and with the children. So dads who stay at home while their partners may be going off to work, they often do the things that women traditionally do. But even fathers that do go to work outside of the home, they also help taking care of the house, taking care of the household, taking care of the children by doing the duties that everyone knows have to be done, like shopping and cooking and cleaning the house. So this is where some of these responsibilities become shared responsibilities between the two partners. Finding work could be challenging when you first move to Ontario. Often newcomers have to take any kind of job that they can at first, and perhaps some of them don't pay very well, or maybe they're only part-time jobs in the beginning. And because of this, other members of the family often have to pitch in, have to help support the family. So sometimes it's easier for the women to find work more quickly, more readily. And this means then that the wives may become the primary earner in the house, while their husbands work part-time, or perhaps the husbands continue to look for work. And this can be a difficult adjustment for the men who are used to providing for their families, but also for the women who are now taking on new and different responsibilities. When women go to work outside the home, they do need help taking care of things at the house. Taking care of young children, keeping the house clean, doing the cooking, the laundry. This becomes a shared responsibility among all the family members. And this can be a difficult adjustment because sometimes it is difficult for women who are used to taking care of everyone, for them to ask for help and to accept the help when it is offered. Learning English or French, because Canada is a bilingual country, this is a key to settling successfully in Canada. Depending on where you live, the person who speaks the most English will naturally take on a leadership role in the home. If you work in a place with fluent English speakers, you're going to learn the language much more quickly. But if you are unemployed, you may have the opportunity to take classes so that you can learn English while you are looking for employment. If a husband goes to work every day, his wife could perhaps attend the language classes. And if her English starts to improve more quickly than his, she may need to take charge of different situations, like perhaps meeting with the children's teachers or talking to the landlord. And if a wife is too busy with the children and other home responsibilities, she may not even have a chance to go to classes and to learn English. And this can then lead to her own isolation from the community because she cannot communicate. And both of the above examples, this can cause tensions in any family. Children usually learn a language much more quickly than their parents. They can adapt to new situations. They make friends at school. They learn new things every day. And so learning to speak English is probably going to be quite easy for them. And while school is usually a very positive experience for children, some children, especially the older children, they may face some challenges. Having to learn a second language can be quite stressful. It may also be hard to return to school if they haven't been in a class for a very long time, and they have to adjust to a new education system. And some children may have social problems at first. You never know, they could perhaps face bullying or some kind of peer pressure. Changes in their family can also be a difficult adjustment for children to make. Their mother may be at work and not at home as much as they're used to having her there. Seeing their dad struggle to find work, this could cause them some stress, some worry. Or if both parents are working, then the children don't see them as often as they used to. And then the children have to take on responsibilities that they may not have taken on before. Reassuring children that things will get better and this will help them to adjust to any changes that they are experiencing. Children spend their days with their teachers, with their classmates. They learn to speak English quite quickly. And because of this, sometimes the newcomer parents often rely on their children to help translate. Children may need to help complete the forms or perhaps answer the phone or even talk to the landlord or maybe the shopkeeper if their parents aren't able to communicate yet. So children want to be helpful. But they may also be unhappy when they have to do sort of boring adult things. Parents may feel powerless when they need their children's help instead of it being the other way around. But this has always been common in Canada. In fact, many Canadians remember doing this for their parents when they immigrated, translating at the school or translating at the doctor's office. This is something that has been happening ever since immigrants were arriving in Canada and starting to learn the language. Like young children, teenagers can adapt much faster than adults. Going to school helps them because they meet friends, they meet other people, they learn about new society. But teenagers are also more aware of the world around them than the young children are. And teenagers will remember the lives that they had before they came to Canada. And they may miss their friends and their family members, their teachers, their schools, the places that they used to go to in their home country. Newcomer teenagers, they also face the typical challenge of every adolescent, of every teenager. Their bodies are changing and they experience very strong emotions. So fitting in with other kids, sometimes this can be difficult. And their schoolwork may also be a challenge, especially if they're learning to speak English or French at the same time as they are learning all of their new subject matter. Some teenagers deal with these stresses by acting out or perhaps behaving badly, either at home or at school or both. And some teenagers may respond to the challenge of settlement by growing up too fast. They take on too much responsibility and they miss out on having fun with their friends and participating in school life, socializing. Often newcomer teenagers need to take on the adult roles to help their parents, to help their family. But the teenagers who must work or take care of young children, they may start to feel some resentment, and they may want more time to be with their friends. Or perhaps they think that they should be treated more like an adult since they are bearing more responsibilities, even though they are still of a young age. What about our senior family members? It's very common for older family members to feel isolated and perhaps become sad after settling in a new place, settling in Ontario. Because seniors often do not work, they do not earn their own money, so it's harder for them to meet people, to learn the language, to learn about this new place that they're living in. And the older you are, the harder it is to learn a new language, especially if you don't go to school or you don't go to work. So their life experience and their wisdom may seem unimportant in this new place because there are all kinds of new customs and different ways of doing things. And because of this, they'll need to rely more on their children and their grandchildren for everyday things. And this can sometimes make them feel powerless. And without the extended family, they may feel like their social position in the community is less important. So let's talk about the family makeup in Canada, the diverse families that you will find. Like in most countries, family is a very important part of Canadian society. It's an important value that we hold. And family has many different meanings. It's the parents and the children, of course, but it can also refer to a large group of people that are related by blood and marriage. The basic definition of a family is a group of people who love and support each other. So let's look at the family types that we have. In Canada, you'll see all different kinds of families. While many families have a mother and a father, there are also single parent families, which are quite common, a single father, a single mother. Sometimes children have two parents who do not live together. In dual custody families, where the parents are not living together, children may live some of the time with one parent and the rest of the time with the other parent. And if one or two of the parents remarry and live with different partners, then children may have 3 or 4 partners in their family makeup. And these parents are called step parents. And they also may have children of their own. So then there are step siblings. In Ontario, same-sex marriage has been legal since 2003. And many same-sex couples have children. And that means that some children in Ontario may have either 2 fathers or 2 mothers. Some children may have both a mother and a father, but one or both of their parents may be in a same-sex relationship with somebody else. So children will have all different parents, and each of them are important people in their lives. Some children live with other family members, such as their grandparents or their aunts and uncles, or maybe a close family friend. And even when children live with 1 or 2 of their parents, their family may still rely on the help and support of other family members, and this is quite common. Single parent families must often rely on help from friends and family, certainly much more than the 2-parent families, and this is obvious because the parent is on their own. In Ontario, the most important value that we hold very true is that children live in safe homes with adults who love and support them. When the children do not have families that take good care of them, or perhaps the children are neglected or abused, then the province has to take responsibility for their care and for their safety. These children live with foster families who care for them on behalf of the government. And some children grow up in foster care, but others return to their own parents or other family members when they are ready to care for them properly again. Many families in Ontario also have adopted children. Some children are adopted as soon as they are born, and this is often called private adoption. Other children are adopted from the foster care system, which I just mentioned, and other parents adopt children from orphanages in other countries. And adopted children, they can come from different ethnic or racial backgrounds than their parents do. Every family member is different, and every family is different in its own way, and they all are there to take care of each other. In some families, many generations live together. Aunts and uncles, cousins may live nearby. Other families are on their own. So the extended family does not live close by, they live far away, perhaps in another country. And so they're not part of the everyday lives. In many Ontario families, both parents go to work. We talked about this a little bit earlier, either because they have to or because they want to. And when both parents are working, then the housework and the childcare responsibilities are shared among all of the people in the family. In some families, parents take on more traditional roles. One parent goes to work, the other one takes care of everything at home. Sometimes it's the mom who goes to work, sometimes it's the dad who goes to work. And this is also true for same-sex parent families. Families also have different expectations for their children. Some parents are very strict, and families may have many rules that have to be followed by the children. Other families give their children more freedom. Some children are expected to work very hard at school. Some children may spend a lot of time playing sport or studying music. And other families expect children to help at home, or perhaps there's a family business and the children have to help with that. Families often face many challenges when settling in a new country. The change in culture and looking for work can be stressful. Family members must rely on each other for support. And some family members may need to take on new roles and responsibilities. Some may experience some emotional distress as a result, so there may be some stress that has to be dealt with. Working together and supporting each other will help the whole family succeed in this new life that they have here in Ontario. There are many programs and organizations in Ontario that can help newcomers settle into their new life. Settlement agencies can help newcomers find free language classes, employment services, childcare, social programs, as well as counseling services and treatment for any mental health concerns. And in the settlement agencies, many of their services are offered in languages other than English and French. So it's to your benefit to connect with a settlement agency in your community. To get any other information or referrals to community and social services in your area, 24 hours a day, you can call 211. This service is available in more than 150 languages. Calling this number is free and it is confidential. If you or another family member is in any kind of immediate danger, don't hesitate to call 911. Thank you very much for attending part 1 of Family Matters.